Oh my God.
The car I bought for 17 grand. The service bill was 28 grand. Okay everyone, welcome back. So we're gonna talk about something today that I wanted to talk about for a little while, and that's my S65. So for those who don't know, this is my 2006 S65 AMG. And I love this car to death, and it's been one of those bucket list cars. And I always wanted to buy one ever since it was one of the first times I filmed with Rob Ferretti back when I worked for him in 2017.
So here we are with a S65 AMG. You may remember I raced one of these, who knows, maybe even this car, against a Murcielago, and we had 4 people in the car and it was still door to door. That car at the time, and it was about 06, it was about the right time, was a almost $200,000 car. Now, this one was $3,750. This has got to have the most depreciation. I mean, you're talking it's worth, what is it? It's 2.5% of its original value. That is the equivalent of a Chevy Volt being worth like $70.
Now, for those who don't know, I bought this S65 about a year ago, and I bought it for Gold Rush because my Murcielago had broken and it needed another motor and needed other Mercy. Like, it wasn't gonna be ready in time. So I wanted to still have a car, and this car I saw for sale, and I foolishly had been looking at S65s for sale because Randy at the time had just bought his Pagani. And the Pagani, the Huayra that he bought, has the V12 Twin Turbo that came from this car. Now guys, the only reason I even entertained buying this car back in August or September or whatever it was because this car, unlike most of the S65s I'd seen for sale, and one, this was Flint Gray, which is kind of cool. They only made like 40-something, 49 of examples in this color. There's only 427 S65s from this generation of Mercedes. The other thing is it had one owner, Subaru, 103,000 miles, and the big thing was it was dealer serviced its entire life. Like that was the fact that checked out when I bought the car. That was the only reason I even considered, buying the car. Because if anything, there's no warranty on this thing. If anything broke on this, it would be very, very expensive to repair. Which leads me to what this video is about, and it's the first service bill for this car. Let's go through the 9-page service bill that I had to pay before the last Savage Rally, which was in May. So it was the car I bought for 17 grand. The service bill was 28 grand. So we have a lot to go over. So let's go back to my house and go see what that was about. Okay, so in front of me, I have the 9-page service bill for my S65. And keep in mind, this was the first time I went to service the car. And I knew going into it, it was going to be an expensive bill. I figured it was gonna be somewhere around like the $12,000 mark. And I know, like $12,000, like that's a ridiculous amount of money to pay for a car you only spent 17 grand on. The car is still a $180,000 car or $200,000 car or whatever it was new. It's just, you bought it for 17 grand. But I went into getting this car, I told myself, originally I told myself I was gonna use it for Gold Rush and Savage Rally and then sell it. But then I fell in love with it, and everybody on Savage Garage fell in love with it as well. And even though I told myself I was gonna sell it, part of me like deep down said like, I'm not gonna sell this car. And so I wanted to be prepared if I did end up keeping it and had the money to maintain it. So let's get started. I took my car to MTech in Fort Lauderdale, and I highly suggest if you have a Mercedes, like any newer Mercedes, and you need it serviced and you don't want to spend dealer money, take it to MTech. They have reasonable rates, and all the guys that work there are from Mercedes dealers. So they know their stuff. Mustafa and his whole team, they know what they're doing. So because people don't believe me, including Austin, that I have a $28,000 estimate.
That is factual. You find you got,
Just take a look at that.
A bad,
Oh my God. Oh
your
my
estimate
gosh.
has 9 pages, my guy. So they wrote me this estimate. I knew it was going to be expensive, but I didn't think it was going to be this expensive. So first things first on here, we got the coil packs. And with the left coil pack, the right coil pack, the coil control pack unit. I mean, all the different things that need to be replaced for the coil packs. That comes out to about $5,387. So we keep going down the list. The next thing we've got, there was a noisy pump. Now, on this car when we were on Gold Rush, I thought the power steering pump was going bad on the front accessory belt. Didn't matter if it was in drive or in neutral, if you would rev it, it would make the noise. So it had to be something rotating on the motor. Well, it turns out that's not what it was. It was a leak in a suspension fluid damper. Fuck if I know. That ended up being about $2,100. So the next thing on this list was the door locks and the trunk lock were not working. And that was a problem we found out, I think it was basically towards the end of Gold Rush. I started to notice the trunk wasn't opening. It used to, you press the button and on the trunk and it would just raise. And it wasn't doing that anymore. So you'd have to manually open it with the key. Also, we found out the doors weren't locking. That would have been about $1,400 to replace. And we had to have that done because I kind of like my doors to be able to, I like to be able to lock my car. The next thing on this list was, oh, the windshield wipers weren't working. Getting the windshield wiper fluid to work correctly again, that was $689. The next thing on this list is possibly my favorite part of this. And this I did not pay, but they quoted me for a new rear climate control unit. And it's because the one stupid thing on my S65 that to this day I haven't fixed, and I just haven't gotten around to going on eBay to find the part and fix it, it's one of the buttons to control the temperature on the rear climate control is missing. I don't know where it went. I don't know what happened to it. Probably just someone's knee or somebody's foot. Somebody kicked it, broke it off, whatever it is. You can't buy that button from Mercedes, like just the button. So they quoted me for an entirely new rear climate control unit. And that is $1,200. Next thing is the parking sensors. Parking sensors weren't working. Replace that, that's about $500. Ooh, this is a big one. This is like a whole page. This was a recommended service from them. It was the 110,000 mile maintenance service on the S65. And that was $1,100. So I wanted to have that done because the thing is on Savage Garage and all the driving we do, when we go driving, the driving miles usually aren't just go to a show and then come back home. Like we'll go on the rallies and we drive our cars. Like we don't beat the hell out of them, but we drive them. So we want to make sure that when we drive them and we do it for extended periods of time, no matter what the climate is or whatever it may be, we want to make sure the car performs and is reliable and doesn't leave us stranded. So getting services done like this are preventative, expensive, but preventative. We continue down the list. We did both front tires, that was $450. Gas cap, the little string on it broke, and they replaced the cap for $42. Now we get to the recommended section of the invoice, and I had them do all this just because, as I said, I like the car to be reliable and keep being able to run and perform and do what it's supposed to do so we can make YouTube videos. And the first thing on here, first thing actually was the gas cap. I didn't realize we were on that already. But second thing on here was the front thrust arms, so just some suspension components. And that came out to about $1,400. Front spring control arms, more suspension components, another $1,500. Front knuckle ball joints, $645. Both rear axles and differential axle seals, $1,240. Between the axle, nuts, seals, fluids, and the actual labor and all that, came out to $4,055. Next thing we have on here, we have recommended front brakes. And the brakes and the brake rotors on these cars are pretty expensive. They're specific to the S65. You know, these cars, they eat brakes pretty quickly because they're heavy cars. Brakes are tremendous on them, but you know, to keep them being tremendous, you have to make sure that they get replaced at a timely fashion. And to do the front pads, the discs, the sensors, and all that, that came out to $2,900, so $2,981. Then also the rear brakes, so that was another $1,000. Then we've got both drive shaft flex discs, that was $965. Burnouts is basically what caused that one. Recommend the engine belt, pulleys, and tensioner. That was done, and that was about $964. So the second to last thing on here is the W220 S-Class transmission service. So that's an important thing to service, make sure the transmission keeps working. $595, and that's fluid, filter, gasket, screws, plug washer, and then obviously the labor to do it. So the final thing on here was you found a nail in the right rear and the left rear tire. surprise. So that's $112. So anyway, all of that comes out. The final estimate was $28,329.42. Now, what I ended up paying was, I gotta look up like the final charge to my credit card, but I think the final number was about $26,000. It was a little bit less than this because we took off a couple services, and they also applied a couple discounts here and there, but figure like well over $25,000 the first service on this car. Now, I don't think that the car is going to continuously need $25,000 service bills, and I hope it doesn't. The thing is with the car, I feel like I got pretty lucky with my S65. I know there are some people that get them in their complete basket cases. They've got services that have been neglected. This is one of these cars that's been maintained its entire life so well. I wanted to continue the fashion. I mean, there aren't many W220 S65s on the road anymore. I mean, I've never seen another one. And I want this car, if there was ever like one time capsule piece of like a W220 S65, I want it to be that car. I don't want it to become just like another S65 for sale at a buy here, pay here car lot. It would hurt me too much. Like, I don't want to see that car abused. So with that being said, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments what your biggest service bill has ever been. I'm curious to hear. I'm sure there are some people that have some interesting stories. I will say that this is my biggest. Even my Murcielago, I never had a service bill this big. But as I said, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Something that's new with this car that wasn't here before, and I can thank Dustin from Mischief TV for this. 1, 2, 3.
3. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dustin's got a bad rap for, it was just Randy's cars before, but now it's Randy's cars, and as well as one of mine now, for cracking windshields. So, love you, Dustin, but stop fucking cracking everyone's windshield. In the coming videos for Savage Garage, you're gonna see like how this happened. And bye, Felicia.
So fast.
The video doesn't do it justice at all.
No.
Like, the sense of how fast this car accelerates. Just pay attention to the speedo. All right, now we're on the brakes because we're on a local road. Another lesser known thing about this car that I figured out, and maybe it's just because it's got a tune from Alex over at Gin Tonic, but something I've learned about this car is if you're going more than, I think the threshold's like 10 or 15 miles an hour, if you put it in neutral, you can rev it past 3,500 or 4, like whatever, like, you know, the cutoff is. So put down the windows. Maybe you can hear the blow off, which is kind of cool. I'm gonna hold on to this car for as long as I can, as long as it makes sense. You know, we've shared a lot of memories in this car, but also just on rallies and stuff. It's so cool to see this car throughout the videos, through all the experiences. I don't like to glorify it, but I mean, like, this is the car I ran from the police in. I mean, this thing's been through a lot, and it's never left me stranded. It's treated me very well. I mean, you're gonna see it on Savage Garage, but yeah, we did the entirety of Crown Rally in this car, and no hiccup. And I mean, it did Crown Rally, the one we did, Crown Rally West. I mean, that started in Denver, and we went through, you know, Bonneville Salt Flats, went through, you know, Nevada Desert. I mean, this thing saw every single climate change, every single different type of octane gas, ones I didn't even know existed. There's 88 octane gas outside the Bonneville Salt Flats. So this thing has been through a lot, and it's been driven hard. You know, not abusive, but it's been driven, and it's treated me very well. So I'm gonna keep this thing as long as I can. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you think I should hold on to this car? Do you think I'm holding a grenade with the pin open, and, you know, maybe I just had a delayed fuse grenade? Let me know what you think, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Take care.